right righteousness. We have all become like one who is unclean, and all our righteous deeds are like a polluted garment. Isaiah 64 verse 6. It is true that any shortcoming of God's law offends his perfect holiness and makes us liable to judgment, since God cannot look with favour on any sin. What brings a person to ruin is not the failure to have the righteousness of sinless perfection. What brings them to ruin is the failure to trust in the merciful promises of God, especially the hope of a Redeemer. It is terribly confusing when people say that the only righteousness that has any value is the imputed righteousness of Christ. To be sure, justification is not grounded on any of our righteousness, but only on the righteousness of Christ imputed to us. But sometimes people are careless and speak disparagingly of all human righteousness, as if there were no such righteousness worked in us that pleased God. This is not helpful. They often cite Isaiah 64 verse 6, which says our righteousness is as filthy rags or a polluted garment. But in the context, this verse does not mean that all righteousness performed by God's people is unacceptable to God. Isaiah is referring to people whose righteousness is in fact hypocritical. It is no longer righteousness. God does produce in those very justified people an experiential righteousness that is not a polluted garment, even though it is not yet perfected. In fact, he does produce such a righteousness, and this righteousness is precious to God and is in fact required, not as the ground of our justification, but as an evidence of our being truly justified children of God. Let's make sure we have the right righteousness.